Good morning, friends, and welcome to a thought for the day on Wednesday in the middle of the week. And I'm told that tomorrow and Friday is meant to be like a heat wave, meant to be like an African heat wave that's coming up onto the UK. So we're going to get some warm weather today. It is hard to believe that that is going to happen when today it's grey and drizzly and a little bit cold. You can tell the really cold days of lockdown by looking at these videos and seeing that days where I'm wearing a jumper are the genuinely cold days of lockdown. I wanted to talk to you today about Norway. I visited Norway, Bex and I visited Norway way back in 2014, the summer of 2014, and we stayed right up in a place called Tromsø, which is way up in the Arctic Circle. And when we went in June, it was light all the time, so the sun never set. In fact, the photo that I've put on the start of the video is a photo that I took at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's the lowest that the sun ever gets. I'll put it up on the other end of the video as well for you, but it gives you an idea that the fact that the place we were staying in didn't have curtains, so because the person who lived there was used to that kind of light. So in the end, we just got some tin foil and sellotaped it to the inside of the windows of the room we were staying in, so it was dark at least at night. We could get some sleep. Why am I talking to you about Norway? We saw some amazing things in Norway. That was one. Climbing a mountain about midnight was another one. Going to a polar park and seeing Arctic wolves and walking with the wolves with just a chainmail fence in between, to the point where you could put your hand in and the wolf would lick your hand. And these huge, great big wolves. Amazing things that we saw, to the point where we went back actually last year with Leo to that beautiful, beautiful place. One of the things that I remember being really struck by was seeing, as we were driving along a road one time, there was this really sort of steep bank, and along this steep bank were sort of trees that were dotted around, but they were bent over, so they were almost the trunks of the trees were pointing vertically sort of out. So if this is the hill, the trunks of the trees were pointing out like this, not up, but out horizontally. And I thought, that's a very strange way for a tree to grow. So I asked our friend who we were staying with that first time in Norway, and she said what had happened was that there'd been an avalanche during the heavy snow season, and the trees that were flexible had bent over like that from the weight of the avalanche, and they now grew like that. The trees that had not been flexible had been swept away by the avalanche. The rigid, unmoving trees were just swept away by the sheer force of the avalanche. And it got me thinking about how we respond to crises, and how we respond to hard times or avalanches in our lives, and we're living in one right at this moment. How do we respond to that? We can try and rigidly stand against what's happening all around us, to be unresponsive, to be unchanging, to say, you know, here am I, and I will go no further. That bit in Lord of the Rings where Gandalf stands over the precipice and he says, "You shall not pass." That can be our response, but often, all too often, what that leads to is to be swept away by the sheer weight and power of circumstance around you. Or you can choose to be flexible. You can choose to adapt. You can choose to move with what is happening, not to change in essence in that sense that the tree was still a tree, it was still the same type of tree, but in order for it to carry on living, it needed to adapt and to change to the forces that were being pressed upon it. And I wonder whether in this time we too need to adapt, we too need to change, we too need to understand that if we're not flexible to move with the sheer weight of circumstance that is happening all around the world at the moment, and will continue to happen in the coming days as well, that we too would find ourselves swept away. But with that flexibility, that willingness to move, that willingness to change and adapt and respond, we too can continue, albeit maybe slightly differently, at a different angle, pointing in a different direction, but can continue to grow, can continue to thrive and to prosper in the days and weeks and months to come. What does that look like for you? What does that look like for us as a church? I pray that God will reveal that to us more and more today and in the days to come as well. So God bless you, stay safe, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow.